Rama
Huh?
ma'am, you live
Yes.
in Bengaluru? You live in Bengaluru?
No.
Mysore.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in Mysore.
Gopika?
I mean, now that actually I'm working now in Bangalore, but I live in Mysore also. I've come to Mysore now. I'm working
ma'am.
in Jain University, Bangalore now as adjunct professor, but I live in Mysore. Yeah.
So,
Gopika, start.
Good
No
morning,
problem.
everyone. I, Gopika Sinha, Assistant Professor of Columbia College, welcome you all to the most amazing online national level faculty development program, empowering educators for the 21st century. Before we start the program, may I request Dr. Arun Kumar Dubey sir, Honorable Principal of Columbia College, to deliver for program introduction and welcome speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Gopika ma'am. Good morning, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the final day of our National Level Faculty Development Program, which is on empowering educators for the 21st century. Over the past 5 days, we have engaged in enriching sessions, thoughtful discussions, and collaborative learning experiences that have undoubtedly equipped us with new insights and innovative strategies to enhance our educational practice. In today's session, we have gathered for concluding session. We are honored to have with us a distinguished scholar and an eminent personality in the field of special education, Dr. Rama S. Ma'am. Dr. Rama Ma'am is the former professor of special education and Dean of Instruction at the Regional Institute of Education, NCERT, Mysore, Karnataka. Her vast experience and significant contributions to the field of education have been truly inspiring us. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Rama Ma'am. Welcome, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much,
Welcome
sir.
to all the participants. Thank you for your active engagement and enthusiasm throughout the program. Once again, welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. Now, before we start over the program, I would like to brief introduction of our today's resource person is Dr. Rama S. Ma'am. I gladly share with you all the learning journey of Dr. Rama S. Ma'am. She holds a PhD in diagnosis and remediation of dyslexia from the University of Mysore and the completed of postdoctoral research on autism and learning disabilities at the University of Mysore. Additionally, she has earned an MPhil in counseling and guidance, in MS in counseling and psychotherapy, and MAd in special education from the University of Mysore. She is a distinguished education professional with nearly 36 years of experience in the field of special education. She has served in key roles at the Regional Institute of Education, NCERT, Mysore, including Professional of Special Education, Dean of Instruction, and Head of Department. She is a prolific author, presenter with extensive contribution to curriculum development, student council, research, and faculty mentorship. She is highly respected for her work in educational psychology, special education, and inclusive education. Having guided numerous doctoral students and published extensively on topics such as dyslexia and autism spectrums disorder. And she has presented her research at international conferences. She is an active member of several professional bodies such as the Indian Psychiatric Society, Indian Association of Clinical Psychology, and British Dyslexia Association. Now, I kindly call Dr. Rama S. Ma'am for her lecture. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for your introduction and also that inviting me to be a keynote speaker for today's session. In fact, I congratulate for Columbia College for organizing such a program. I just now came to know that you are having more than 300 participants all over the country. So that actually educating, empowering the educators. Many times we just stop at the teachers, but teacher educators especially for 21st century, that is one of the very important thing that we can say. So in this contest, when I was thinking what are the topics that I can discuss, and then finally we have come out with what is called RPWD Act, Right of the Persons with Disability Act. When we say in the modern that era, that we are thinking that education for the children with disabilities have to be given in the inclusive setup. Every school should be a inclusive school. So in that case, the role of the teachers and also the teacher educators are very much important. There have been several acts in the country, but the recent one, that is in 2016, that is very important from various that respects, and also that they have come out with 21 categories of disabilities. So I would like to discuss about what are the categories of the disabilities, so that we can understand what are the implications. Can you share the screen, sir? Is it visible to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah. So next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So first, let us understand what is the definition of special needs. Because when we talk about the disabilities, we use the different terminologies. So during that 80s, we were talking children or the individuals with exceptional that abilities or disability, exceptional children. We were using the term. So later, that they started thinking about special needs children, but this act says that is children with persons with disabilities, or children with disability, or students with disability, different things. So when we say first, when it was considered that they are having some kind of special needs, but when we say exceptional, that they are having exceptionality, positive side and negative side both. Positive side comes the gifted individuals. So we cannot ignore those who are gifted, talented, either academically or intellectually or in special talents. So that is one. In the negative side, we are having different types of disability. So the special needs. So when we say according to this Webster dictionary, we can consider any of the various difficulties. So that there are difficulties which are due to that physical reasons or emotional behavior or learning that problems, that all causes an individual to have additional or specialized services or accommodation. So that means when an individual is having some kind of deviation or disability or disorder, impairment, different terms we use. So what happens, that will lead to some kind of requirement. So these individuals, especially we're talking about the student population here, so they have some special needs, so which are required, which may be accommodation or adaptation, etc. Without that, we can't make these children to learn. So those things that first let us understand the different types of disabilities, then we will understand the needs then and there itself also. Next slide, please. Yeah. So that another definition given by Toronto Children's Services. So here also they try to tell the same thing that Canada tried to a little bit elaborate the same the terminology, the special needs, as I discussed. Here they consider individuals who due to emotional. So many times we think the disability is only that is blindness, visual impairment, intellectual, but they give importance to that emotional. Familial means certain problems which are running in the family, that there are various physical disabilities or even behavior problems like ADHD and other thing, or any developmental which occurs during the developmental period, that is 18 years, like mental retardation or cerebral palsy, autism spectrum disorders, specific learning disability, or cognitive. Cognitive includes these things also, that intellectual disability and even a specific learning disability, etc. Or it may be even communicative problem due to hearing problem or speech problem, and also that emotional factors. They are having some kind of risk which will not allow them to maximum their potentiality. The individuals with a disability also have a potentiality like any other individual. But what happens because of these disabilities, that will impair their development. So that we can consider it as an hurdle or obstacle in the way of realization. After all, education, we say it is a realization of our potentiality. But these disabilities are the obstacle in that, so that we have to remove the obstacles, or we have to minimize that. That is the special needs. How that we are going to do? Come first, children who require support and assistance. So, depending upon that, a child with mental retardation may require daily living, or a child with that is a specific learning disability may require some remedial instruction, or child with emotional may require a supportive service. So, all these things here, what is that? Whether a diagnosis is short term or long term in nature. When we say that emotional problem, it is a short term. A person may have some emotional problem, it is not lifelong. So he can have, suppose there is some kind of crisis. We talk about that is the pandemic. During that time, many people developed emotional problem. That was there. After that, they developed resilience. So that is like this one. Whereas if you take certain disabilities, that they are permanent. Once a person is having visual disability, or that is ADHD, or this one, the autism, we can say that they will be having a problem throughout. So they consider even the short term problem and also long term problem, that is given by Toronto, the Children's that is Services Association, that is in 2007. Next slide. Next slide, yeah. So here coming to persons with disabilities. So I told that special needs and all we say, but now once again that in fact we were using the term person with disability, children, but earlier they were telling disabled. So he is no, that he is blind, he is deaf, he is mentally retarded. But we thought that we should not use the term he or she is disabled. So because that disability is not the main thing. Yes, I told that he has got several other potentialities, the capabilities. Blindness may be only one aspect. So that we say that even in medical term, we say TB patient. We don't say TB person. So it is not that actually that is only one aspect. So disability is only one aspect. That's why we prefer to term use the term person with disability, child with disability. He's a person first. He's an individual first. He's a child first. So what are the developmental characteristics that are there in the other individual? They also have, but there may be some kind of deviation. So that's why the preferred term, that is in 2006, that is given by the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disability. They use this term. So that terminology is also very important, because it will have some kind of attitude towards the individual. So when we say that we are empowering the educators, finally we have to empower the individuals with disabilities. the persons with disability. So one of the ways that is when we say inclusion, even social inclusion, that attitude change towards them. That is one of the reasons that we have to discuss this kind of topics. So this also includes, which I already told, it may be physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory, which in interaction with various barriers. So this is another social dimension. So that here the individual is having a sensory problem, but you can say, so this sensory problem will not affect always. So when you are in the classroom, that you are showing some pictures or videos, a person with blindness may not be able to see that, but he can still hear if it is a video. But if it is only picture, he can't see. That's why we are thinking about now multimedia, not single. Earlier we were discussing about only charts, models, and such kind of things. But now we are thinking that we have to go for the technological. At least the same person with visual problem can hear. So what I'm telling, that there are certain barriers in the system. Some children can't go to school because that there is no lift or ramp if the classrooms are in the second or third floor, or that it is in a far off place, or there are no toilets modified, or there are no teachers trained, so that actually that there is no proper curriculum that is included in the teacher training program. So that means there are certain environmental barriers, so that is also there. Similarly, a person with hearing impairment, he may not hear the things, but he can see that. A person with physical disability in the leg, let us say, he can as well participate in an indoor game, if not an outdoor game. So, what is important we have to understand here, the disability is not affecting an individual always in all the tasks. So, that is why we use three terms. When you say impairment, there is some kind of organic. So visual impairment, there is some defect in the eye or in the ear or physical. But when I say that is the disability, because of the impairment, visible or obvious, or sometimes in intellectual disability, we can't make out whether really damage is there in the brain. But functional level, it is affecting. So that is the limited ability. Disability means dis is a Greek term, DIS or DYS. So limited ability. It is not a lack of ability, it's the limited ability. When you say handicap, earlier that handicap means cap in the hand. That is how they say that is the begging. Earlier people with the disabilities are only begging. So that means it's the societal. A person with visual impairment, when he is listening to music, he may be better than many other persons. He is not actually having any problem at the time. So handicap, that is because of the environment. This is what we have to understand here. That is why I say interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in society. See, each and every member has to be a protective member of the society. That is our ultimate goal. We have the that ability that has to be used for ourselves and also for the society. We have to contribute. But what happens in case of the persons with disability? They may become a burden, but because we are not actually helping them to empower themselves. Once it is there, that they can also become productive members or creative individuals in the society on equal basis with others. So here what you have to understand is the equality and equity. So that actually they are also not given the opportunity like others. That is the equality. Equity means that is what they have some special needs that we have to meet that. When you meet that, they will become equal. So first equity and then equality. So that is one of the important thing that you have to. Each definition has got lot of implication that we have to understand. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So coming to this Right of the Persons with Disability Act, so that is 2016, that is given by Government of India, Ministry of Law and Justice, that is the empowerment. So here, that one of the sections, there are different sections which has got medical, legal, and education. This thing also here that consider it is not that is the right. In fact, as I told that earlier, individuals with the disabilities were abandoned or hidden. So that is, if you take the historically, many of these children were abandoned. That's why that they used to become the beggars, or they were hidden. Even in the census, even now many times we can't get a proper picture. The children were hidden, but now because of the various right to education and other thing. So later it is the social, the security model and giving some kind of benefits, social benefit in terms of some scholarship, freeship, or some other kind of aid. But later we thought that is the education has to be given under right to education. So even all the individuals, including persons with disabilities, disadvantage, will come here. But now that we are talking, it is a right of the persons. They have the right, equal right like any other individual. So in that, what are the premise of this that is act is respect of inherent dignity, individual autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices and independence of persons. This is very important. So everybody is having a dignity, and we promote dignity in even democracy and everything. So the individual has got an inherent dignity that we have to be given opportunity, and then individual autonomy. See that actually just because a person is having a disability, why they should be under the obligation of somebody, as if others have to support them. They have to tell you study only in residential school or special school or inclusive. So when people with the so-called typical development or normal or intelligent, they have got different choices. Parents can put them on different streams of education. It may be state, it may be CBSE, it may be ICSE, it may be international. They can put their children in a nearby school or an that is residential school. They can in somewhere. So they have that option. Same way we have to provide options, and we have to enable the individual to that is exercise the autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices. See, it is not that we dictate you are disabled, you use only this kind of thing. So, and then independence of person and non-discrimination. If at all discrimination, there should be positive discrimination. We talk about even in disadvantages. So, we make some provision in order to make the person to overcome the problem. That is positive discrimination. The same way that we have to provide some kind of opportunity or that modification adaptations, that is a kind of positive discrimination but not in the negative way. And then full and effective participation and inclusion in society. The concept started with inclusion, inclusive society, and later that inclusive education, because to make a society inclusive, first education has to be inclusive, because educational institutes are the agencies of socialization. So we are thinking what is required. So now that in society lot of that differentiations are there, and then separations, seclusions, and they are there. So but we have to bring every individual to common platform, and that's why that we talk about inclusive education also. And then everybody has to fully participate in all the activities, whether at home, classroom, or in the community. And then respect for difference and acceptance. See, we have to treat this as a difference. See, that is a diversity. So need not be there. It is there in the nature. So who created nature? It is a result of that nature and even a nurture. But we have to accept them that as a human that diversity and humanity. So these are the basic the premise or the principles behind it, right, of persons with disabilities. When I say right, it is obligation on the part of every organization, whether it is educational or commercial or some other, to follow them, so that their that rights can be respected. So this is a basic thing. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah, that here also principles of empowerment of persons with disabilities, equality of opportunity, which I discussed, accessibility. So that you say that I'm opening a school or a college, but unless there is an accessibility, how can they reach a particular school which is far away? Or even if they go to the college or school, whether that architectural barriers or physical barriers are removed so that every child can move as freely like others. So that is what we say accessibility. Now we say that opportunities are there. We can create opportunity. How many people can get access? So this is what that we have to understand. Then equality between men and women. So that is another gender also here. Though it is about disability, talking about the gender disability or even disadvantage also very important, because many of the persons with disadvantage, they are more prone to disability because of lack of health, hygiene, nutrition, and medical facilities, and ignorance. Many other things are there. So that even gender also, that if we say that girls are also considered as one of the disadvantage, if it is, if a child, first of all, that because that she is a female, there is some kind of bias. If the female child has got disability, or female child is from a disadvantage or a poor class, see, that is actually poor economic condition, and that being a female and having disability, so it will compound. So the problem will become more and more. So that is what in, and then respect for the evolving capacity of children with disabilities, as already told, they also have the capacity, so we have to allow them into flourish, and respect for the right of the persons with disability to preserve their identity. So this is another thing. Many times other people hesitate to tell that disclose they have some problem like autism spectrum disorder or ADHD or some other thing. But these people say, I don't mind. So I don't mind to be recognized as autism. What is there? So I'm having this problem. So like that only, so they can also preserve this. Next slide. Yeah, now that coming to the types of disabilities, earlier when PWD Act 1995 came, Persons with Disability Act, so only that is some seven categories were identified. So later, National Trust Act came. It included some additional that disabilities. So now, for the first time, that they have identified 21 categories, and they have kept it. Even this is open, later some more also can be included. So that is some of the disabilities which were not recognized here earlier were also recognized, so that we can meet their needs also. And here that is no, that these 21 categories can be classified into five major categories, and also within that some subcategories. So let us try to understand them. When we talk about that is the physical disability. Earlier, many times when we say physical disability, we were considering as mainly as an orthopedic handicap. Orthopedic handicap means what? It is only that is the problem in the bones, joints, muscle. It may be a child has born without a particular limb, or there is some deformity in the fingers or in the backbone. So like that, or because of accident he lost some the part of the body, so legs and so that problem may be in the bone, muscle, or joints. Later, they included even something they call a locomotor disability. It is not only the physical, what you can say, that wherein a person's movement is affected. A person as a whole, that he cannot walk, and he cannot ride a bicycle, or he cannot swim, or he cannot even write properly, he cannot eat. So that means here that one that is due to some physical problem, another one due to that is the cerebral that is damage, that is what we say cerebral palsy, that is the brain injury is there, that is affecting the movement of the individual. So this under that some other categories also. So that here the main under physical disability, yeah, that's the main another subclass we say locomotor disability. As I told that movement like that, a person's inability to execute distinctive tasks associated the movement of self and objects resulting from affliction or of musculoskeletal or nervous system or both. So when I say a person has to walk or a person has to run or has to dance, so he is moving his own body. Or when he is drawing, painting, or using a tool, so he is using an object. So in both of them, say we say that even children with dysgraphia cannot write properly. So, but we don't consider under a locomotor disability. But a person with a cerebral palsy who cannot eat properly, or who cannot use a spoon, or you cannot use pen and other kind of things, so that using the object because that there is some problem in the musculoskeletal system, as I already told, bones, joints, and muscles, or it may be nervous system, that is cerebral palsy, that damage to the brain, or both. In some cases, both the things can happen. So this is one. Under that, they have included some other thing also. That is including. So that is the broader category physical disability. Under that, A is locomotor disability. So that here that they are including even leprosy cured person also. You know that once upon a time, leprosy is such a kind of stigma was there. So that later, some people, even Mahatma Gandhi ji or Mother Teresa or many other people, that they were shown it is not contagious. And later that they understood it is possible to that cure them, and also that they can also get education, they can also get employment, and also they can lead a thing. So first that is the social level attitudinal change, and because of the medical advance and other thing. So now that there may be a child who is leprosy cured. So but here that there are different levels that we have to understand. In some cases, what happened that even cure also like a 2 3 levels, loss of sensation in hand or feet, as well as loss of sensation in paresis in the eye and eyelid, but with no manifest deformity. So in these cases, that they have, that it affects the nervous system. So here, what happens that now that there is no external deformity, we all get the picture of this one. That leprosy earlier in some movies that they were shown, and those things were there. But you can say, but it is not the same kind of deformity here. There is externally you can't make out a problem, but they still lack sensation. When you touch the hand or feet of the person, you won't feel it. The tactile sensation is affected in these people, and also in the that eyelid and other things, so that they have sometimes they don't feel it. So that when you see that person, you can't make out once he had a leprosy and he has cured. So it has come to that extent. Only sensation is still affected. So in the second level, manifest deformity and paresis, but having sufficient mobility in their hands and feet to enable them to engage in normal economic activities. So here what is happening in this individual, some deformity is there in the hands and legs, which you can imagine what they were showing to some extent, but still they can mobile. Earlier, these leprosy patients, they were not able to that move. That's why they were sitting near a temple or somewhere and begging that, because that their hands are crippled, that the feet and other thing. But now they can also move. So that is engage in some, that is economic activity. And the third one is extreme physical deformity as well as advanced age. In some cases, what happens that the treatment is not that effective, and also as the age advances, the person that loses certain abilities, which prevents him or from undertaking any gainful occupation. So they cannot take some that job which will make them independent, that economically independent. But still, that we are using the term leprosy cure with some kind of restriction. So it is possible now that there are certain areas which there been that leprosy was common, that they were telling. But now, because of the medical advancement, early detection and treatment, so many of them, it is possible we get some children in the school or college, and we have to see that without any stigma they should be given the opportunity. Next slide. Yeah. So under this one, the locomotor disability, so that next that they have included cerebral palsy. So here that they have included means a group of non-progressive neurological condition. So that means it is actually it's a neurological condition because there is the brain damage. But what is that? It is non-progressive. What does it mean? So sometimes that it develops before birth, prenatal or during birth, or immediately after birth within some time. But at that time, what was the level? The same level will continue, so it will not become worsen later. So what is that? If it is mild or moderate severe, the same thing can be maintained. That is what we call non-progressive neurological condition, because in some cases it becomes that is progressive, that we are also going to take it, affecting body movements and muscle coordination. So because of that, that children, spastic society, so mainly spastic, but there are different types also. So mainly because of that one, they may have problem in one hand or both the hands, or one two hands and one leg and all the four, depending upon the number of the that is the limbs within hands and the legs limbs, that we they classify them into different categories. That all depends upon which part of the brain is affected. It may be due to some damage, or it may be some infection, or even during birth. Sometime if there is any delayed labor, that there will be some oxygen supply. Many kind of cases are there, even encephalitis it is, or meningitis, or even German measles during pregnancy. So all these kind of thing leads to damage in different areas of the brain, so that it can occur before, during, or shortly after birth. So this is second category. So the third category is dwarfism. So that actually we consider now, that earlier, if the person is dwarf, many times that they were seeing them in circus or some other, they were considered as a kind of comedians. There are some famous actors who are there in the movies also. So, but here that it may be a medical or genetic condition resulting in an adult height of 4 feet 10 that inches or less. So that is that some kind of a standard. See, even the Indians, we say that is for even women, it may be like a 5 feet in average, or it can be even more than that. Men maybe 5'4", 5'6", depending upon that. That is something. But if anybody is having less than that, like 147 centimeter, that is also a kind of a disability, because for various reasons. One is because this is not only the height, there are certain additional problems in the individuals. It is not only the external stature, that the hands or the limbs, even there may be some problem in the internal organs, so that is affecting. Secondly, that we have some kind of standard. So everything that we prepare based on that is the standard average, men and women. So in that case, it is difficult for these people. You take even that getting into a bus, many times that the women have problem in getting the, not because of anything, because that is the men with the longer that is the legs that they can that climb easily than that women. So there is a thing, even staircase also. So they can climb faster compared to others. But the same way you can see, if the child is having all our stools, tables, desks, everything according to some standard height we are making. If the child is having that is a short stature, then you have to design a separate table and chair for him. Otherwise, he cannot use it. It will be very difficult for him. I know that even in NCRT, our own demonstration school, we had one child who had difficulty that he used to stand and write. Later, when it came to my knowledge, then I just recommended that he has to be given some separate that stool and this one. They were not understanding why that he prefers to stand and this one, because when he sit he can't use that table or desk, and you have to make him sit in the front bench or like that. This is one adaptation. Like that, many more things are required. So even if a person is very tall, I know that some of the boys they find it very difficult to travel in some cars because their height is more. So that anything that deviation, he may be feeling very that proud that he is tall, but it affects him in some cases. So like that, so any deviation, yeah, that's why we consider dwarfism is also one of the problem, and but we have to understand what are the other problems they have. See, in addition to that locomotor, that we are to, for example, you say high jump. I'm just giving an example from this one also. Even not academic, high jump. You maintain some standard, high jump, you keep on increasing. But you have to make for this child high jump that even lower than others. You can't even just jump over the rope that you are having. So like that. So any task, even you say imagine that is a throw ball or anything, so there is a particular height, that's why you can throw beyond the net. But if it's short, so involving even in some other activities, co-curricular sports, it is very difficult. So from that angle, this is also included. We have to think if somebody with this dwarfism come, what adaptation we have to make in the institution level instead of others laughing at them or excluding them from the activity. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. So that under this that we are having locomotor disability, we are having the third category called muscular dystrophy. So it is somewhat a very serious condition. It's a genetic condition. So hereditary genetic muscle disease. So that what happens here, the muscles become weak. You know that when the age people age, when they are old, very old, and all that, their muscles become weak. That's why they have difficulty in moving or doing some kind of task. But this can happen even in the younger children. So that is what sometimes because of genetic it runs in the family. What happens? The muscle that move the human body and persons with dystrophy, what happen? They have incorrect and missing information in their genes. So how to that actually that convert the proteins we take into muscles? It has to be built. Just because we are having nutrition like carbohydrate, protein, amino acids, body cannot do that. There are certain genetic codes. They have to be converted into different parts of the body. But here in their genes, that the information about how to that is create the muscle cells that is lacking. That is multiple dystrophy have incorrect this one, which prevents them from making the proteins they need for healthy muscles. So from the protein that we have to take and that has to be converted to some other problem, each part of the body has got different kinds of proteins. They have difficulty. It is characterized by progressive. That's what I told in cerebral palsy. It is non-progressive. Here the problem will start initially in some form. But later you can say, later it become more and more severe. In the beginning, earlier, that even I came to know that one child was even a boy that he had some difficulty in climbing the stair without any physical illness and all. But later that he found that to have a more the major problem. So like it may start some weakness, but that's why we should not neglect those things also. So that is a skeletal muscle weakness, effects in muscle proteins, and the death of muscle cells and tissue. You know that actually most of our involuntary activities are muscles. Our heart is a muscle, our stomach is muscle. So, if a problem weakness means not only externally, even the internal organs also the muscle they have, naturally it will affect the individual's life also. But sometimes they may appear to be a little bit stumpy. So, what is happening in their case? The muscle cells are replaced by fatty cells. So, because of the fat accumulation, they may appear to be outwardly strong, but internally they will be very weak. This is one of the serious condition. I just read a report in Bombay in one family. Two children are having that, and also that very expensive. I think now that they are coming out with some injection, but it that cost in crores because it's the initial stage. So that is why it is one of the major problem. The next category is acid attack victim. See, this is unfortunately this is happening. This is not by birth or any other kind of thing, because of some personality problem of the individual or some mental issue of one person. Other person will affect. So in all other things that you can say the person is having the problem. But here that in acid attack victims, some times especially it can happen during a teenage. So we are coming across such kind of instance. Unfortunately, even recently that we that came to know, that one girl was sitting and preparing for the examination. One boy came and threw acid on her, and that fell on others also. It become highly corrosive. So why such kind of thing? So some others say some love affair, some other kind of infatuation because of these things. So this is also considered as one of the thing, means a person disfigured due to violent assaults by throwing of acid or similar corrosive substance. So when that acid or any other thing that that is thrown on the person, that year that is disfiguring outside and even that is internally. But now they say sometimes they may correct because of plastic surgery and other thing. But if the nerves are damaged, here in Mysore city itself, that we have one doctor, lady doctor. In fact, that I had seen her in sometimes in one primary health center. But once that there was an interview about her also. She was sharing. She was staying in a being a doctor, very good looking and all from other locality. She was staying in some house as a tenant. But that owner know that he had something that he wanted to take more money or some other kind of due to something. Then I think she put it to like a rent control or some other thing because of he was troubling, and finally one day that he just threw acid on her. So that so much is this thing, but still she is working and all like that. No, that because of this, that is also considered as one of the disability because it becomes permanent many times. The next one, next slide. Yeah. So that is whatever we discussed under physical disability, under like that is locomotor disability. Now that we are having that is the another category, sensory disability. The B is that is visual impairment. Here that I just tried to go a little bit fast. That there are two, that is we say blindness and low vision. So in the blindness that we can say even after correcting with the glasses and other things which are due to refractive errors and other kind of thing, the person cannot see that. So here that any that visual ability is measured in terms of two things. One is that is the visual acuity and field of vision. In visual acuity, we say that is a distance vision, how far that we can say. So here that in the field of vision, the degree angle that is with which we can see. So here that both the conditions can affect it. So you most of you know that you go to that ophthalmologist, that many of us now that wearing specs has become a common phenomenon even among the younger children also, so that they give a chart to read that the letters, or if they're related sometimes even some numbers and other things are given also. So that is called the Snell chart or light screen board. So here what is that? So when you say 3 by 60 meter means what a normal person can see an object at 60 meter, this person can see only at 3 meter. So that means they should be very close to the object. So otherwise, even if an that object or a building or anything that is very big, that they cannot see. That is what we say 3 by 60 or less than 10 by 200 feet. Even in the 200 feet, we can just see some object. At least, if not total that no details, we can make out. Even a person is that distance, we can. Oh, my friend is coming, a family member is coming. But when they, unless that they come to very close, that they cannot recognize. This is one. That is, I'm telling in general, but it is in the Snell chart. So that the letter which is shown even in the 60 meter, this person can see only in 3 meter. If it is 200, it can be 10. So that is in the best correction, this thing. And then limitation in the field of vision means, so when we are having 180 degrees, so if I keep that is object on both the sides in 180 degree, that we can say still I can see that colored two colored pen shows which is there in my right side and this one. Whereas these people it becomes very very narrow and then restricted. So that is what is called field of that is vision. So here also it should be it is restricted only 10 degrees. So if you take 180 degrees, only 10 degrees lesser than that only they can see that one. But many, if the object is big, so when it is less, see many times what happens if the child is having this kind of problem, he is sitting in the classroom, the teacher wants him to take down whatever written in the board, that is that this child goes without taking down. Why? Because in a board 180 degree, starting from one end to other one, if you want to see how many times he has to turn his head because he can see only partly. So it is so painful. We are not understanding that. So that sometimes if it is not detected, it can happen. In case of low vision, so that at least it is that what other person can see in 18 meters, or that is you can see at 6, or like that, that is there. And even a field of vision is also 40 degrees. So these are the parameters. That means that when we talk about the blind on the basis of this, so that we are having, for some people we say that he can see or she can see, but that is very very limited. That is not useful for our writing and all. First of all, the letters are small in the book. This one is there. So even in case of blind, you can't make it very big, because if you make it big, the field of vision is limited. So in the case of low vision, it is possible. We can give that enhanced print and other thing, magnification, a magnifier. With the help of that, they will be able to do that. They are in a better position compared to that. But without this adaptation, they will not be able to do that. They require some kind of adaptation and meeting the needs. Okay, and even in our own college that we are having a student, he joined that. After joining that, he wanted to leave that institution. He's from Lakshadweep. And then his father was worried. Then, since I was a dean, he was brought to me. Then what is the problem? That boy till 12th standard, he was a very good student, but his father was helping him many things. Now that he's having some low vision, so he thinks, if my father is there, not there, how can I study? So then finally, just convinced, don't worry, we will make your stay comfortable even in the classroom. And moreover, he took geography, so a lot of diagrams and other thing that how to do. So then I just oriented the teachers who are taking, and one day I went and said how far he can see, and then that we had even our own special education cell, that is the globe magnifier or picture magnifier, that is the linear and many other kind of things were there. So that I was telling that how that it can be done. Even every test or examination, his father used to call me and remind me, please help. Then I was just instructing that academic section to borrow this optical instrument, and that will be given to him. And also I told, in the question paper comes Mysore University where they are not printing in. I told you just to magnify it while taking in the last minute. You just see in the Xerox. You try to see at least 200% or something. You give that, or you give him more time. So that means, later that he, once again he maintained good this thing. Not only that, he joined that flow, that is English and foreign languages thing was university, and his father always used to give feedback. He just passed through is that is made there also, but maybe now he is employed also, or what is that? After that, recently that I have not got any that feedback. That means the boy was ready to quit our institution, but is already completed his master degree. So that means with some support and adaptation. So this is what we require. We have to be sensitive to their needs. Okay, next. Then hearing impairment. So here also, the now that we are having two categories, the deaf and odd of hearing. So that here there it is a magnification, it is the amplification. So here that is when they can't hear, there will be 70 dB hearing loss. So that means what a person can hear at some intensity of the sound, that needs to be amplified by 70 this thing like 2 degrees. So then only it is possible. So that's why they require some hearing aid and or mic and other thing is a larger this thing. So that will be there. In that case, that hearing the speech, this thing is difficult. Sometimes they may understand the loud noise and other thing even by using that hearing aid, but still that is good. And even that when it comes to speech frequencies, so it is very difficult to that is pursue. So that is there in the deaf. In order of hearing, that it is less than 60 dB, that is having 60 to 70 hearing loss. But within that further you can have different levels. So that means instead of 70 loss, there is a 60 and even above. So that depending upon that, that they can do. If a person is having mild hearing problem, that they can be easily develop language. In moderate, some are difficulty. Also, certain frequencies of the sound, certain sounds they can hear, certain sounds they cannot hear. So this is another thing. For example, the frequencies sa, sha. Sha has got some frequencies, Sa has got. They can hear some sounds which starts with Sa or may not hear with Sha. So like that, even in our speech, that depending upon the frequency, they will have problem. And the next category is the speech and language disability. The first time that they have included this one. Earlier, we were thinking any speech problem is due to hearing problem or brain damage or mental retardation like that. But now that they have identified speech and language disability as a separate category itself, so here that it can happen due to laryngectomy. For example, if there is any problem in the speech operator, sometimes that they have to remove that part of larynx. So that in that case that they cannot see, or aphasia, which is due to some kind of brain damage later in the year. So there may be due to some other neurological condition. So because of that, the person cannot even speak, or they use language, which is sometimes whatever they acquired also will be lost in the case of aphasia. Okay, next. So coming to the next category, that is intellectual disability. Intellectual disability means that actually it would have been intellectual and developmental disability. So here that they are considering that is the overall intellectual development is affected, the reasoning, learning, problem solving, even adaptive behavior and all. So earlier we were using the term that is the mental retardation. So that which is covering various aspects, that is assessed through intelligence test, and there are different levels: mild, moderate, severe, profound, based on their intellectual level, their social and practical skills and adaptive behavior, etc. So in addition to that, which they are mainly study in all the psychology, so that is there. In addition to this, they have included certain other categories, so that we will discuss next. So here, for the first time in India, that they included specific learning disability. So in fact, she told that I did my PhD in 1985. During that time, dyslexia, learning, reading disability, when I did. So there was no that understanding about this awareness about learning disabilities or dyslexia. But I was interested. I had some topic in the syllabus, so that I just interested and did it. So later also in many form that we are telling seminars and all, it has to be included and all. But they were not considering specific learning disability as one of the benchmark disability. Fortunately, that in 2016, this act they included this. So now they are also having certain rights. Earlier, only some parents group and some other organizations were doing, but now that it is expected all the educational institutions should meet their needs. So it is a heterogeneous group. It is not one disability. That is an heterogeneous lot of differences among them, wherein there is a deficit in processing language. So that we talk about information processing, that here with reference to verbal information, the language, it may be phonetic, or it may be grammar, or certain aspects, or it may be reading, writing, that is the spoken language. So like that, then that is what we say, it may be spoken or written, and it will be manifested as a difficulty to comprehend the language, or speaking, or reading, writing, or in spelling. Or in some cases, the problem may be there in mathematics only, but mathematics is also a form of language, and mathematics involves lot of language also, and it includes the terms which we were using earlier, perceptual disabilities, especially when there is some damage and other thing which is not obvious. So that they were finding out some individuals cannot pursue that the symbols and the objectives, and then what we say, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, that is the pronunciation, and developmental aphasia, that means difficulty to learn language. All these categories come under what we call specific learning disabilities. Next. The autism spectrum disorder, and she was introducing, she told, I did my postdoctoral research from Mysore. It is from Manchester University, UK. So got a British Council fellowship. I was deputed 1 year to Manchester at the time that I studied. I am telling now. Once again, I had some topic. My teacher gave one topic. That's what sometimes what teachers do, that will be there. So that one assignment on autism, which was there, which we had lot of myths. So that I just wrote an assignment, but that was there in my mind. Like learning disability, autism was also not given so much importance in our country, and we did not know anything about it. So that's why when I got an opportunity to go to UK, 1991 or so from the MHRD and NCRT. They did it. So I just worked with Professor Midler, who was also one of the authority in the area of intellectual disabilities, autism, and all Manchester. I chose it for my postdoctoral research and this one also. So what I am telling now that those days that we did not have much knowledge, and also we were thinking those days it may be 1 in 1 lakh, but it is very startling now that we any a child 1 in 500 may get it. So because of so many teratogenic effect, that means the environmental factors, or that is the internal also. So many things are there that we can say. Lot of toxicity, pollution, and other thing also can affect one or the other way, though we cannot point out to any thing. So it is, according to me, this is one of the severe type of disability. Even if the child is mental retarded, you can handle him easily. Many of them, their behavior can be modified with some reinforcement and all. But this is the most complex form. Even in SLD, like specific learning disability, literacy may be a problem, still they can lead a better life. There are many people, though are not much educated in the formal sense, but they are doing. But a person with autism spectrum disorder, they have, that is a neurodevelopmental condition, typically appear in the first 3 years. This is one of the, this is a diagnostic and statistical manual. There is American Psychiatric Association comes with one manual called Diagnostic and Statistical Manual every 10 years. Now the fifth version has come. Similarly, the WHO also comes with international classification of the diseases and related disorder. Now we are having the 11th version. So they give certain guidelines, whether mentally retarded, specific learning disability, or autism or ADHD, how that we are going to diagnose. Guidelines are given, so we are following that. Here, according to that, one of the criteria is before 3 years. But sometimes it can happen beyond that, but that problem is something different. And it affects ability to communicate. Here, this is another thing that we have to understand. When I say communication, you take a child with hearing problem. He uses sign language, so he can still communicate with his peer group and other thing that he can write and do. But here, that is not compensated. A child with autism that sometimes can be totally mute. He cannot speak at all, but that is not used by sign language or anything. They lack natural gestures which we use, or the facial expression, etc. So they cannot communicate. Or sometimes they develop the language, but they don't know how to use language for a communication. They don't consider it as a tool for interaction, or like a social interaction. That means the pragmatic skills, or they have certain speech. This thing also we say, for example, echolalia. So that they will just echo that the speech of others. If somebody tells something, they keep on repeatedly telling. They don't know how to adapt. For example, somebody asks, "What is your name?" The child says, "Your name is so and so." He can't tell that my name. So you should be automatically this. Nobody will teach it to our children who are typically developing. So it comes automatically. They can modify when you say you, that they will say me or I, or that us, or something like that. But this is one just example. If we go, that itself is a, I think I'm not able to tell. But here, that's what two, three things are there. So one is that they may totally mute, or they may develop a language to some extent, but they cannot use it for the purpose of communication. So they don't know how to consider that. Sometimes that the vocabulary may be very high. I told one of the subjects which I took for my research, one boy in that UK, in a small country, that there were those days in 90s only, more than 25 schools were there. National Autistic Society, I visited nearly 11 schools in England and Wales and all like that. So that different, and try to observe them that understand their problems. So that one boy whom that is administered British picture vocabulary test, so that he did not have the ceiling. You know, the scaling means after 2 or 3 consecutive failures, we have to stop the test. I think that his age was at 14 or something, but he performed at an 18-year-old level, his vocabulary. But he had some other problems, so that social interaction. So that's why social interaction is another a major problem. Many of them may remain that is totally aloof. They will be sitting during that free period, you know, that how children gather, chit chat, interact, and all kind of things. But now I think because of mobile, they have become more autistic. But they will be communicating with somebody, not with the socialization is restricted. But still, there is some communication. But there they will be sitting totally isolated. So that means they're totally aloof or totally odd. If they're trying to interact with others, they don't know how to interact, so that they lack social skills, and then emotional attachment is not there. So usually that infants miss their mother or father or anybody. If they're not there around, they look for them, that they cry or anything. So that kind of what we call prosocial behavior, that is not there. If mother is there or not, there is no eye contact, there is no smile. So that means some of these problem, they may see, they say peripheral vision, they see sideward, but still that other set is difficult to see that, and they have exaggerated olfactory sensation. So in the sense smell, if any book or anything object is given, they want to smell and see. So we see the picture, we see that they get up, but they see this one, and even sometime they will go and sniff different things. So they have a different exaggerated things. And even that the hearing also, sometimes that they don't hear even the soft, they can hear the soft sound, not that if I take a paper and do like this, that can be heard, but not a louder sound. So that's what we say, lot of aberrations are there. So that they are that interested in actually just rotating an object. They like to see the moving objects. That means they, if you give anything, they will tap, or that they will rotate, and they get no fixated at a particular that is the part of an object. Suppose that if you give a car, instead of treating it as a whole car and using for movement and other thing, they don't understand. They may suppose if that it makes some a sound, if they may go tap it, or they may just fiddle with the wheel, one particular wheel. So like that, they have a lot of problems. So that emotional attachment and other, and even they don't feel the cold. When I went, it was minus 16 degree, but some of the children were there not only without that warm cloth, even sometimes they don't wear pant, and they think that bare body, they were not feeling it cold. So there is some problem in the brain in perceiving the stimuli or anything. So all these kind of complicated that they have complex learning problems. So that is also included under this category. The next one. I'm trying to go a little bit fast so that I can by I think 12:30 I can
It's okay.
do something. So now that coming to, because they take a lot of time. Okay. So the third one is that mental behavior. So that mental illness is also included under this category of this one. So here that mental illness, once again, such a heterogeneous term of the problem. So it is not just mere nowadays everybody say I'm stressed, I'm depressed, I'm anxious, I'm tension. So children commonly use this kind of terms. So from that to going to any level. So here mental illness means a substantial disorder of thinking. The way they think, that the logic. So it may appear to be logical to them, but it is not logical to others. When I say logical, I need some kind of evidence. I can't need some kind of proof. So that no, there should be an illustration, but they may think, they think in their own way. It may be right for them, not for others. mood, a lot of mood variation. Sometimes they may be depressed, they sometimes may be having very elated mood, they may become very social, or next moment they may withdraw. And the perception. So perception here means how that they can understand themselves, about their own capabilities, about their own personality. It's the self concept. How do they others they pursue? So they may think that everybody is their enemy, that they are trying to harm them. So that is a kind of a perception. So that because of their paranoid this thing orientation, so that sometimes they don't know what is the day, time, and other thing, or the memory also sometimes grossly impaired. So the even judgment, they can't judge what is right or wrong. So that is their not the behavior capacity to recognize reality. So as I told that if I believe something, that there should be some proof, that I have to get the evidence. I can't imagine. So they live in a fantasy. That is what we say. That usually we build the castles. That means we daydream. Whereas a mentally ill person live in the cast, that they say like that. That means for us we know that I'm dreaming something, daydream. I'm imagining. I know that it is only my dream. It may come true or it may not come true. But I'm not feeling my dream is reality. So that is the problem that we can say, especially among the person with severe mental illness or ability to meet the ordinary demands of life. They lack that is the motivation to some extent. They may ignore in everything. They don't eat, they don't take bath, or that they don't know how to take care of themselves or what is expected. But it does not include the retardation. So mental retardation is different to mental behavior, because in mental retardation it's an arrested growth, and that happens in the developmental period. But mental illness can come at any time, and sometimes that illness can be corrected with some medicine and other psychotherapy and etc. Whereas in mental retardation, so we have to modify our education or other their life situation. But they can also be happy with if you can give task according to their capability. That is above average intelligence. But mental illness can happen in anybody, irrespective of the intelligence. It can happen even the most genius also. So like that, there is no correlation between illness, mental illness, and this one. Now that is also common. In fact, on 24th, that it was celebrated as World Schizophrenia Day. One of the webinars, even I just participated. So it is a common. So they have included here, and for us that we can see that even many children have this problem, and especially most of the psychiatric illness start during adolescence. So that we are dealing with that is school age population and adolescents and even young adults. So many of them that you say that you get in colleges of education, the B.Ed, by that time they join that they're already young adults. So many of them that they will exhibit different kinds of problem. So we should be able to understand that problem and refer them to a psychiatrist or clinical psychologist required, or some kind of counseling has to be done in the at the institution level. So that's what we can do. So beyond that we can't do. Only referral is also one of the important things. The next one. Yeah. So now that is disability, the caused by some, that is the neurological condition. The first one, if you take. So here that we discussed some neurological condition earlier also, but here it is mainly that we can say which are classified under this is multiple sclerosis. So that means here that there is it is an inflammatory disease of the nervous system, so that there will be some scars in that, and also that that we're having a nerve membrane. Sometimes that the nerve membrane will be damaged. So nerve membranes help us in absorbing the shocks, and that even proper transmission of the impulses. But what happened? Myelin sheath. So this is a problem of this, especially around the axons of the nerve cells of the both the brain and spinal cord. So that axons and dendrites, that is if the axons are that myelin sheath or the nerve membrane, if it is affected, that leading to demyelization. So that means there is an inflammation which will this thing know that myelization is very important. Development of the nerve membrane. The child when he born, it is not there. Slowly it will be developed. Nerve membrane will be developed slowly, and they have found out the parallel between cognitive development and the development of the nerve membrane. Piaget told at the age of that 6 plus concrete operation stage, 11 plus a formal operation stage, they found out even parallelly that is the nerve membrane development and other thing also. That will be there, but due to some kind of a genetic problem or some other reason, if there is anything. So I know that somebody that one of our colleagues' daughter recently has been diagnosed that with multiple sclerosis. So it is a major complication leading to different problems. Once that is this is affected, so immobility and many things can happen. So that is what is happening. That because of this, the neurons cannot communicate with each other. See, all our activities means it is the coordination and communication different brain cells. So we are communicating with others. That is possible because our neurons are communicating with each other. So that I am getting information from visual memory, auditory, some episodic, many things I am connecting and telling because all that is happening in my brain. And also there is the spinal cord certain senses. So if there is any problem, nature later that also leads to this. So this is also one of the serious condition. Next, it's also progressive. That means the problem increases. Then Parkinson disease. So it is mainly we think it will be among individuals above 50 years. So like that I tried to find out before that sometimes rarely maybe 40. Otherwise, Parkinson disease is also another progressive disease of the nervous system marked by tremor. So that there will be tremors and like that muscular rigidity, like that you have seen sometime in a paralytic patient that rigid, or that they will become slow in their walking and then imprecise. That means when they're walking, they can't walk properly, but that how they have to go, and all these things are typically affecting middle-aged and elderly people. So associated with the degeneration of the basal ganglia, that the part which is very important for all this muscular coordination, that is affected in the brain. So and also deficiency of the neurotransmitter dopamine. So one is that the anatomically there is a problem, or even that is the neurology, that is the neurochemical level. Various hormones are produced in our body. They are that very very essential for that our day to day function. So that anything that will be decided by how enzymes are there for the digestive system, these hormones are there for our all mental activities and governing that. If any deficiency in that, that will lead to this. So if they are recognized early, if it is possible to treat, then they may be able to manage the condition. It can be arresting or preventing becoming it more serious. Next. So the next one is due to neurological. The second category is disability caused due to blood disorder. So this also that that there are different types of things you can that I'll tell quickly. Hemophilia, we are familiar with that. So it is a sex-linked trait mainly among the male children. So that is characterized by loss of impairment of the normal clotting, so that platelets, that normal clotting that cannot take place. So if there is any damage, that a single injury or cut or anything, blood will be continuously going out. Same times the internally also damage, we say usually Queen Victoria, family it was there. So that this is also one of the condition. Many times these children, their movement will be restricted. They're not allowed to go for play or anything, but parents and others are scared if the child falls, because during play fail, the falling and hurting is very common thing. We all fell and damage, that there is some hurt and all, but we there was some kind of recovery, and we were not facing much problem. Even bleeding that could have been prevented, but here it is not so easy. So this is hemophilia. Here we say females are the carriers, and it's the male children are affected. So then thalassemia, this is another thing, when that is also one of the inherited disorder characterized by reduced or absent of hemoglobin. There it is the blood clotting element, platelets is the problem. Here hemoglobin that is affected in this. Sickle cell anemia. So in this case, hemolytic disorder. So leading to that, here instead of a round concave kind of this is structure, so that RBC, red blood corpuscles, are like a sickle, so like off moon we say. So when that their circumference is that is reduced, naturally that leads to anemia, and even they can't carry nutrition and oxygen, and various complications due to associated tissue and organ damage. And then hemolytic condition, that is referred to destruction of the cell membrane of the red blood corpuscle. There it is the shape. Here that actually hemoglobin is also having a membrane. A very a cell has got a membrane, but that is destroyed. So that is leading to this. So we may have children or the students in the class with some of the blood disorders also, that we have to be able to understand them, that to see that how we can make them as complicated. And some of these thing like thalassemia, and they have to go for frequent blood transfusion. So because the body is not producing, even if they take blood, it can maximum remain for 120 days. So it is painful, and it is most expensive. That is the disorder, because how long that parents keep on supplying blood from outside. So we have to understand. Next. So fifth category, so we have understood different, that is the multiple disability. I told that hearing impairment or visual impairment or mental retardation. Sometimes that they occur in the most, we assume that they occur in isolation, but they can occur in conjunction with others. A child may be both deaf and blind. Even Helen Keller herself is both having both problem. An individual with cerebral palsy has got different problems in addition to major locomotor problems. So that will further complicate the whole thing. Where to put the child if the child is deaf or blind? Whether you are putting him in a school for the hearing impaired or school for the this one. So we are having once international this thing in Chennai for the Multinational Institute for the Empowerment of Persons with Multiple Disabilities. That itself is set. So that means you can see that any other category has maybe notified by the central government. So that means we know that this is not the end. The list can be more. So where that we can add later, it may be there. At least for the time, first time that they have come out with it. So if we take the implication of this, so that every institution should see that there will be inclusion of these people by removing the physical barriers whatever is there. So that is very important. So that it may be furniture, it may be flooring, or it may be staircase, it may be lift or anything. So adaptation not only in the institution, we say every that office, for example, they go to bank, so there should be somebody to talk to them, that in sign language or anything, or there is a person with blindness, there should be some kind of display in the braille. So but this is one physical aspect, then second is the social aspect. So treating them also, other them on par with others, like with the dignity, that is the second aspect. The attitude and aspect, acceptance and readiness That is another aspect. The third aspect is academic. That is the more challenging. Sometimes a school may remove the barriers that they can hear, that they are emotionally, or that they are ready to accept the individual. But academic, so that is what a very no, the teacher, educator should know how to adapt their that lessons. So it is not changing the curriculum. So here that in when we talk about inclusion, we are not telling it is not modification of the curriculum. It is adaptation. Whatever curriculum is there for others, even these children have to study. So unless that they are having any mental retardation or any kind of thing, but in order to do how same thing can be modified. So that's why we use the term. You must be aware that this UDL, Universal Design of Learning. So it first came with like architectural field, how we can make like multiple menu model. We say if you go to some that restaurant, they may have only idli, dosa, or depending on north roti or parota. So like that, but in multiple menu, when you get a person, so you are in Jharkhand, you are taking somebody from south or north or some other, so you have to take them where many things are available. That is what we call multiple menu. Same way that there are certain multiple ways of representation, how we can represent the information through different modes and expression. We have to give opportunity and also the engagement. So that means finally we have to understand the rights when it comes to educational institution. Every teacher or teacher educators have to be that adapt with the UDL principles and also the strategies. So that we have long way to go, but still it is there. A time has come that we have to do. We can't ignore, because there is sizable population. We are seeing that we have understood their ability, and because of now that we are going to witness many more problems. The pandemic fear will be there, that may lead to different problems. Many accidents are happening, many wars are, see, everywhere lot of destruction and disruption is having. So that that we can say the disability on one hand we can reduce because of the medical advancement and also the financial, but on the other hand there are so many natural and man-made calamities. So like that disability will be there. So how to do? I think this is the message I can give. I think with this I can stop. I think I could cover within the time. So if anybody want to ask, if there is anything, that I'm always ready. If time is there, otherwise we will see. But I request, please take the lead in coming out with certain models for inclusion, even in the teacher education institutions, so that others can visit and learn from you.
Ma'am, we need your support to develop this kind of any kind of model for inclusion, and because we don't have any exposure in this field, therefore with your guidance we have included this topic in this faculty development program. If you guide us in certain way, then we will surely develop any model for including the different kind of disabilities having persons having. So please guide us in this way also, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you very much for taking this one. If you do that, we can conduct some workshops and other things, come out with a certain strategies later that we can start implementing and try that how it is effective. So you can do that wherever it is required. So even we can meet in person somewhere in your place, in Mysore, some other place, you can always meet, and we can some kind of a face-to-face program, like some workshops involving the people, teacher, educators. If you go, definitely they will come out with the idea, and even adaptation of the lessons and other things. So we are trying at the school levels, but even at the even the methodology they should understand. So all that, if you take initiatively, definitely I'm there. My Malik, my some of my colleagues are there who are interested. We can do that. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely our support will be always there.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Gopika ma'am.
So much, ma'am, for sharing your valuable thoughts, ideas, experience, and such informative knowledge with us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Now the session is open for all for question, answer, and discussion.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
मैम ये कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं.
Hmm.
Why do disabled people need rights?
Why do disabled people?
Need rights.
What is the last one? I could not because
Rights ma'am. Need rights.
Ma'am, why do disabled people need rights?
what is rights means here? What do you mean by
राइट्स
right?
मीन्स मैम उनके, हाँ मैम उनको क्या क्या राइट्स मिले हैं गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से?
क्यों चाहिए उनको?
Why?
Why they
Can anybody tell what does she mean by right? I did not understand what is that right here.
rights ma'am, rights. It's rights.
Because it is in that this one, no. It is
Okay.
coming as like a ride. I could not hear it.
मैम नेक्स्ट
And
क्वेश्चन.
speaking, no transcription comes, no. That is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
showing. No, you can just even put in the chart, or somebody can ask what is that she told, that ride or anything.
This is not right, ma'am. Rights. Rights
It's
of
rights ma'am,
Oh,
rights.
rights. Okay,
Yes,
okay. Because what is happening, no, this, I think this live caption, which is appearing, no, here, I think it is taking. Maybe you can close this also. Live caption is coming. Okay, okay. So why do they need right? Okay, very good question. See that actually all human beings have the right. But what as already told, we are not giving right of a choice to the persons with a disability. That they are under our obligation. See, I can give you only this. You take this or not. See, let us take one example. You are preparing some food for your children. Okay. You tell, I will cook only this. You eat or not. Okay. So that is what we are thinking, that this is what I can do. That you just, if you want, you get it or not for the disability, as if we are doing a kind of a favor for them. But it is not like that. If there is an option for others, if you ask your children, family, any other family members, what do you want to eat, they will tell. If not in particular time, in one day they may have, 1 week they may have choices. So we have to give choice also, particularly with reference to education. I'm telling earlier that there was only residential schools, only special schools. If they say I have to study in my nearby college or school, I don't want to go away from my family members. Okay. So then you have to give opportunity. You can't say no, you can't demand. Earlier we were using one term, beggars are not choosers. So whatever I give, that nowadays they also say, oh yes, don't give this one, I can accept this one, I can't accept. So that means now we have to say they also have the right to think whatever is more suitable. For example, now we don't offer science to them at middle school and higher school for the persons with visual impairment. Do you know they are telling we are also interested in learning science? Why you are not giving? So wherever science is there, that is substituted by economics or political science or something like that. You look into that special education syllabus for the persons with visual impairment. So we are not offering because we don't know how to teach. If there are practicals are there, how to show the practicals in the absence of vision. But if we can come out with some other alternative, same experiment can be perceived in different way. As already told, charts and models are replaced by our videos, isn't it? The same way that they think even I can become. There is one person that Vikram Sarabhai earlier that I used to meet him in this way was telling. See, there are people that were interested in going for medicine, but are we allowing a person with hearing impairment or visual impairment to become this one? So that means we are deciding what they have to study. We are deciding what kind of job that they have to take. We are not. That is why when the right is there. See, and also I think if time is there, just one minute I will tell. Once that long back, before all this kind of thing, one person, he has got visual problem. He was working in a law institution. He brought his son, who is also having visual problem. So he wanted to admit his son in our demonstration school. All regional institute of education have one demonstration multiple purpose school. It's like an experimental school. Since that I was also holding the dean, principal, and many other things that they came, and also special education in charge. So he came to me. Somebody directed him, and he came. I want to put my son in our school. I don't want him to go for a school for the blind children. So then I tried to convince our that is administrative officer at that time that we with some guidance we can do. But at that time we was not ready to accept because there was no thing like right to persons of the disability. But if a person comes now and tell that I want my child to be admitted here, you can't refuse. That's why we are having any that no some reservation is there for the persons with the disabilities also. Some 5% reservation is there in the education, some 4% for the job also. Even in our own demonstration school, that is through lottery, computerized lottery, there will be there for central government, state government, and different reservation systems. You all know. One is for the persons with the disability. One girl had some learning disability. I knew mother wanted to send her to some this thing after 10th. She wanted to send her to some other school, special school. But I told her that you just show the certificate, she can join for plus two. So then she joined a plus two, and even later she did not want to put her for a graduation. And then I told, let her get graduated first, then let her do anything like that. So that means if a person becomes a certificate and if you have got some seats for them, you should give. But if the seat quota is there, otherwise also that is what I say, right? No, it is my right to study in your school because this is convenient for me financially or emotionally. I want to be with my parents. Our parents think on behalf of the child. I don't want my child to go to a far off place. Let him come and study. You understood, no? That when there is a right, you can do that. So it is not where that was the right for education to some of the disadvantaged classes in our country. But later, slowly it is there. Now that right of the education means like free and compulsory education, you can't refuse education to anybody. And then that is the society has to create opportunity. So when you say right, so we have to create opportunity because no, that all people we know that we have to help, but we don't take initiative. But when you say there is a right, it is obligation on the part of the government to create opportunity. So now that there is even employment opportunities there, so that they can also just if they are qualified, they can make use of this. You got my point? Are you convinced or still you have doubt?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, sorry, that because this live caption, no, when you spoke, it came right, not right. Now
Yes,
it is
ma'am.
better to remove that one. Sometimes it has problem in. Okay, thank you for your. It's a good question. Yeah.
मैम मैम हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स की तरफ से भी क्वेश्चंस हैं मैम।
Ah.
ये क्वेश्चन है मैम डॉक्टर धारिणी राय की तरफ से मैम। हाउ टू इंक्रीज लर्निंग ऑफ डिसेबिलिटीज स्टूडेंट्स।
How to increase? Once again, in this live caption,
Ma'am, how to improve the learning in students with learning disabilities?
Yeah, how to improve. See that there are different types of disabilities. That's what we have understood. What you are talking, that's what. But generally, if you tell anybody, generally, if you do, ನೀರ್ ಕೊಡು, ನೀರು. Generally, that you say, as I told, that UDL, that there are certain principles that how we can modify our lessons. So when I modify myself, that's what I told. I think Dr. Abba also, that's why she told we can. So when we use certain kind of strategies, that is, one is that modifying our lesson and creating interest in them and even motivating them. So all the three things are important. Because of the disability, sometime no, they may not be able to sustain their interest or motivation. You take persons with learning disability. Okay, a child is having, just excuse me. A child is having a spelling problem. Let us take. So because of the spelling affects other thing also. But whereas other children, I know that once or twice repetition they can learn. Whereas this child cannot learn through rote learning or any other. So he has to understand the phonetics, some rules are there. So that's why we say phonetic drills. First of all, the teacher should understand, especially in English, I'm talking. Indian languages, much difficulty is not there. So we have one-to-one correspondence. I think like Hindi, I can quote. Like that, no, for every that sound, that no, letter, each letter is distinct, isn't sound. So for sa you have a letter, for la you have a letter, for ta you have, te you have, to you have, like that. So every sound is represented by one symbol that is there, but in English it is not like that. So you put a T and you have to put O or I. You use consonant is T, but we have to use different vowel sounds, A, E, I, O, U, where to put, and it is confusing also, isn't it? So when you say CUT is cut, whereas PUT is put, why do you say when U comes put and the same thing cut? See that in English language, so you have to understand what is the principle when you are using the same combination in different way. Are you understanding this one? So that means first of all that the teachers have to understand. This is simple example, but unless I know what is the rule that is governing in the formation of the words there, I can't teach it. So we have to modify the lessons through various strategies, and then we have to teach. And then what happens? The child may lose motivation to learn or interest. So then we have to see that instead of just telling no, you have to study, you have to do, we have to do that. The kind of support, academic support, and then emotional support. All those things are very important. This is what in general I can tell, but for that, first of all, that we have to understand ourselves. Okay. So even for example, behavior modification. Many of these people, they don't know how to study habit, time management, for example. Unless you know how to manage the time, unless you study by using a proper methodology, we say graphic organizer or tabulation, converting visual information to this one different that is no learning style, learning strategies are there. So we have to understand what learning strategy is suitable for a particular child, and then we have to modify. So multiple intelligence we say, learning styles we say. But when we are teaching in the classroom, we consider all the children are learning by using same learning style. No, it is not that. So, according to the kind of intelligence which is dominant in the multiple intelligence learning style, so whether he's a visual learner or auditory learner, or whether he wants to learn through some activity or any such kind of thing, so we have to adopt. That means our learning strategy should be on par with the learning style of the child. When both the things match, that their performance will be improved. This is what in nutshell I can do that.
Any other questions, Alpna ma'am?
अनम्यूट कर
Alpna
लीजिए।
ma'am? Okay, I think there is no questions. Gopika, go on. No?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving answer. Now, I would like to call Dr. Abha Dubey, ma'am, for vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Gopika ma'am. Before proceeding to the vote of thanks section, I would like to brief the entire faculty development program that we have organized from 21st of this May to 26th. This is the final day. And we cannot say this is the final and last. This is the beginning and the dawn of all of us so that we can continue our journey towards the excellence. At the beginning, on the very first day, 21st of May, we have explored the various technological aspects in teaching and learning process, various tools, various softwares that are available, including the AIs, to make our teaching and learning very smooth and complemented with the AI techniques. And on the second day, we explored the Indian education system, the basics and very brief and importance of Indian education system in this era. And the third day, we have explored research techniques and how to write the research proposals and thesis and dissertation and format of developing the tools, research tools. And on the fourth day, we explored the various ethical and professional values in teaching and learning profession. Yesterday, we learned about the various strengthening techniques for strengthening techniques for developing the ecosystem for research according to the National Education Policy 2020. And today's we are very fortunate to listen you, ma'am, about the various persons with disabilities. You beautifully explained the very basic concepts that we all need to know. You start with the definition of disabilities. This means what, abilities means what, and we understand that disability means not lacking of abilities, but not completely lacking of abilities, but having something which are missing in our abilities. So you are explaining it very beautifully, and the various rights of persons with disabilities and the different kinds of disabilities that are listed by the government agencies, and the empowerment techniques. How do we empower the persons with disabilities in educational field so that they can be included in our society, in the mainstream of the society? And also the different types of disability. You explained us the 21 types now we are having. We are defining the persons like physical disabilities, locomotor disabilities, visual impairments, visual disabilities, intellectual disorders, mental behavior, and multiple disabilities we are facing. And the intervention techniques, you justify your lectures in a very short period of time, very less span of time. Justify your lecture to provide us the various intervention techniques to handle with these disability persons with disabilities, so that everybody included in the mainstream of the society and live a beautiful life. And we are, as educators, helping them out to deal with the any odd situation. Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you everyone to be the part of this faculty development program. And We ensure you, ma'am, from this platform that we certainly do something, and as you invoke us to do so, so certainly do something for the persons with disabilities from our organization on our part. And I would like to thank the management who motivate us to organize this faculty development program, so that we are enabled us to face the challenges posed by the 21st century. And all the participants who have been associated with us from since the beginning to the end, to facilitate us to complete the entire faculty development program successfully. I also thanks Dr. Arun Kumar Dubey, Principal, Columbia College. With the guidance of him, we are successfully organizing this program, and all the faculty members, all the participants, each and everyone who has been associated with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.